So last week we ended up our discussion by at the point where we talked about the advantages and disadvantages of mobile connections, mobile internet, right? And then now we need to we'll be jumping into the point where we'll talk about different types of connections. Okay, so what are the connections? So we do have, as we discussed last week, we have the wireless connections and we have the wired connections, which will be technically connected using a physical wire itself, right? So let's go through the wired connections first. So wired connections, they are like typically a cable. So okay, so there has to be some sort of a cable. Now as you can see here in this image, this is basically a type of a cable which you use to connect the PC to an internet or to a network connection. Okay, so if you guys have fiber connection, this SLT fiber connection at your home, then you might see this yellow color connector which will basically come to your house and which will get plugged into this particular router. So if you are using, let's say, PEO TV, this SLT's TV module, then it actually works with a fiber optic connection. Okay, so let's see what are these cables are. So we have two different types of cables. So one is the Ethernet cable, which is also known as the twisted pair cable. Okay, and then we have the fiber optics, which will basically transmit some light. So fiber optics, you do not get to actually see what is inside, because that is a typical cable which will basically transmit some light in it. Okay, so example is now I have shown this couple of times before. So the whole internet is actually focused on or based on fiber optic cables. So between continents, okay, so let's say basically between each continents and countries, we have these undersea cables, something similar to these ones. Okay, so these are the ones which connects us with each other. Okay, I have shown this before as well. Have I shown you the undersea cables? You might have seen it in the video, right? Yeah, that's it. So that's how this whole structure works. Okay, so now what are the advantages and disadvantages of an Ethernet cable? So obviously we'll start with the advantages. So the primary advantage is it's cheap. Okay, so it's cheap, low cost, and that is a standard. Okay, so that standard is a genuine overall standard which is the same thing throughout the world. Okay, and then at the same time they can transfer 100 gigabits per second. Okay, so 100 gigabits per second, which is quite a good speed when it comes to connecting normal PCs, like normal devices together. Disadvantage is we have a limitation. So the limitation is you can only drag this cable or take this cable up to 100 meters. So if it exceeds 100 meters, then the signal get lost in the sense the signal strength goes down, so your connectivity starts to get problems. At the same time, can be affected by interference from other devices also. Other devices means this cable, it's a normal cable, no? So if you have other devices which is connected to this or connected to another which will run through this cable, then it's going to be a problem. Okay, so that's the typical problem with this Ethernet cables. Give me one minute. Hold on. Okay, so let me show you something interesting. So this is a RJ45 cable. Okay, so this is known as a network cable. So if I take it closer, you should be able to see that it doesn't recognize. Okay, you should be able to see now this actually has eight wires in it. Okay, and all these wires are twisted in pairs. Okay, that's why this is known as the twisted pair cable. And you can see, so depending on the type of the cable, the data transfer speed and the strength changes. Now here you can see do you have the category? Yeah, you can see there is a category. I'm not sure the camera will take it. No, right? So let me try out a different approach. Hold on. Will this work? No, sorry, no, it didn't. It did not. Okay, I'll do something interesting. Hold on. I just want to show you this now. Let me join from my mobile, and then I can actually show you. I can show you this in a much more clear way. Hari, okay. Now, now you should be able to see it. Ne? Uh-huh. Still it's not visible. No? Okay, so there is a code written in the wire. So here you should be able to see CAT5E. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so that is the cable type. Okay, I'll show you what the cable type is. But if you look at the cable, this has 8 connectors to it. Okay, so how it works is, now we can test it out. So I will show you what we use. So this is what we use in the industry to test these cables. Okay, so this is a cable tester. You can see this has 8 lights in it. Okay, with a ground, 8 lights. So what we need to do is, we have the cables on top. So we take the cable and we plug it in like this, and then we take the other end of the cable. So this can be 100 meters. Huh? So here this is just a small patch cable, but this can be up to 100 meters. And what we do is, we get it and we plug the other side in as well. Okay, so this is how it works. Now when you plug it in, you can see the lights. See, one. Okay, so let's it seems there's a problem with the cable, no? See, so one is this side. Okay, one is working, 2 is working, 3 good, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. This side also it works accordingly. Okay, so what we are basically testing is the pair of the cables. So this has 8 cables in it, and this will let you test it. So this is actually a tool, because I do networking as well. So all my office, all the networks at my office and at my home, I did it on my own, because it's quite interesting. You get to clip it and test the networks and so on and so forth. So that's how it works. Okay. So why do we have the speed? That's another reason. Okay, so I will show that as well. This is not so in your syllabus. We don't go into that particular level, but anyway, I will show it to you because you might need to know this. So how it works is different categories have different speeds. So what I showed you, so in that cable, what I just showed you, that was a category 5E. So that means that can go up to 1000 megabits per second, which is almost similar to category 6. Okay, but the difference is category 6 has a faster megahertz rate. See, so compared to this one, 5E is 100, category 6 is 250. So that means the capacity is there, yes, but the number of bits which can be transmitted is the same, but the speed is slower. Okay, so depending on the type of the wire, the quality and your usage changes. So why do we have so much wires? So that is mainly because, not technically because that that it came with the speed, but what happened was technology getting evolved. So every time, every now and then, scientists work together and they implement or they come up with some high end, like let's say, new solutions to make things go faster. So because of that reason, you get new versions. Okay, so now the current version what we have is category 8. Category 8 cables, we do not have that. uh, we don't have those cables which we can just go and buy it from a shop, because those are specific cables, specifically focused for enterprises and servers. So we don't use category 8 cables at home. Okay, that's how it works. Okay, nice. So then the advantages and disadvantages of fiber optic. Okay, so please do just remember the points. So the advantage is cheap. Okay, so number one advantage is it's cheap, and you have a gigabyte transfer rate. But the disadvantage is you can't take it long. It's just 100 meters, and it can be affected by other interferences. Okay, in the sense this cable is technically just another cable. So if this goes into, like, let's say, into a different electromagnetic scheme, something like that, then it's not going to work out. More example like I had this problem at one of the places which I did the network. I actually laid the network cable right with a power cable. Okay, and no idea why a specific PC at a certain location stopped working out of the blue. That doesn't stop. Like the network is not working. So when we check the cables work. When you use the cable tester, the lights work, but when you plug it into the PC, it doesn't. So it was actually a very, very confusing and puzzling state, because we were not able to exactly find what happened. But later on, we found out that right at that point, we had a power socket, a plug point. So the plug point, it generates some sort of a electromagnetic interference, which in return cancels the connection. Okay, so that's the problem with wired connections. So let's go to fiber optic. So in fiber optic, how it works is it's extremely fast, because technically it's light, right? So data is transferred through light, so light is fast, and at the same time you can scale it, because when it comes to the network length, you don't have exactly a length, right? If you have a direct light stream, you can't you can send it for a long distance. As well as light is fast. So now in the wire, what it goes is electricity, no? So electricity means it's electrons, it's a 1 or 0. It's like on and off, on off, on off, on off, on off, like I said. So that means there is a delay. But light, just think if you take a flashlight and flash and try to flash it, you can do it extremely fast, right? So that means the number of gigabytes which can be transmitted is also fast. The problem, primarily, this is so expensive, okay? Because receiving and transmitting is really expensive because it's all related to light. So you need huge, like massive, complicated devices to receive it. At the same time, it's not commonly used for small networks. Example is, let's say if you want to create a network at your home or around your house someplace, you should not opt in for a fiber optic unless you really need a extremely fast network. But then again, people don't go for that because it's not suitable. Okay, so this is what I just showed you. So in the real world, there are multiple categories of Ethernet cables. So that we have Cat 5 and Cat 6. So what I just showed you was Cat 5e, but now the standard has become Cat C has become the standard now. So these are how the cables work. Super. So then we jump into satellite communication. So satellites are the interesting thing. Okay. So let me show you a quick example on how Starlink works. What is Starlink, by the way? Do you know what is Starlink is?
No, sir.
You know Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk.
Yes.
Okay. So Starlink is basically his internet company. So what he did was, now since he came up with the SpaceX program, he created a satellite system. It's not a big satellite, right? It's just a small satellite, not small in the sense not like this one, like size of a car or something like that, right? And then he sent these satellites into the lower orbit. Okay, so this is how it works. So if you look at this example, you can see this is how it works. Okay, now we do have Kavala. So this is how satellite. Let me increase the size of it. Okay, so this is how satellite transmission actually works. So here you can see we have Earth. Okay, and from Earth, this is the location. So this is space basically, right? So I'm near the Earth here, and now we have different types of ranges. Now technically, we the furthest satellite we have is what is known as geosatellites. Okay. Now see, when you are sending a data packet, let's say you're sending a message as hi. Okay. See, now it came to the Earth. Okay. Now I am sending a message as hi. Okay. Let's say we are using geosatellites to communicate. Hi, 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 hi. Okay. So let's say if I was here in Alaska or someplace and I'm sending a message to you in Sri Lanka. So the message went to the satellite. Now the message is coming back. Okay. So see the time it takes. It's still on the way. It's still receiving. It's still coming back. Still coming back. Still coming back. So it's taking almost about 240 seconds. Okay. So when I say hi to you, you get the message after 240 seconds. That means almost how many minutes? Close to 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Close to 4 minutes, correct. Yeah. So let's say with that type of a delay, can we maintain a communication? No, right? Not practical. No? When I'll have to say hello and I'll have to wait until 4 minutes and then I get hi. If I again say hi, then I have to wait another 4 minutes to get the message. So so this is the orbit range. Okay. So what Elon Musk did was he created a small satellite, a small size satellite, and he placed it inside the, like, very closer to Earth. So these are Starlink satellites. Okay. So the Starlink satellites are, so we call these satellites lower orbit satellites. So technically you can see them. It's like a couple of kilometers above the world. Okay. And how it works is, now since it's close by to the Earth, the transmission is really fast. See? So while this message goes to an external satellite and comes back, Starlink can send almost 70 messages. So now Starlink, I think you might have seen the news as well, because Elon Musk had a discussion with Ranil, couple of our previous president, and he approved to allow Elon Musk to sell Starlink in Sri Lanka. So hopefully that will be available for us. The fun part is, now since it's satellite communication, there is no dependencies, right? So we can communicate with any range whatsoever, right? So technically, satellites in the orbit, right? So they are almost about 20,000 kilometers away, and then since they are so far away, they can communicate for long distances. Got the point? Okay, now since you saw these, I'll ask you a question. Can Starlink communicate long distances? Communicate or send messages for long distances?
It means like around Sri Lanka or other countries.
Let's say if you use Starlink, like as you see here, can you send a message from using Starlink from Sri Lanka to Australia?
No.
Exactly. Yes, you cannot, because since it's lower orbit, the distance is not enough. Right? So now see, now here, if you are sending a message from one Earth to the lower orbit, the range is very less, right? But other side, here you can see the geosats. So the geosats are like long way away, like far away from the Earth, no? So that means even if you stay here in the world, you can send the message to a geosat, and the geosat message can send the message to the other side of the Earth. So that's why we need both. We can't actually have only one solution, because if you are using a satellite phone, that phone should work from anywhere in the world. Right? So that's the fun part with the satellites. So what we do is we send messages to the satellites, and the satellites can receive it, and what they do is they relay the message. The word is relay. Okay, so they take the message, they save it, and they send it out. Okay, and then while doing this, you can connect to two different locations, and you can transfer data couple of thousand miles apart. Okay, so by using this, you get the radio communication way. So now there are a few points. So you can highlight these points. So satellites orbit the Earth at the height of over 20,000 kilometers, as well as then the examples. So these are the main examples which you will get questions in the paper, because there are some questions where they ask to give examples of satellite communication. Okay, so it's quite straightforward. As you guys all already have seen, we have Dialogue TV, which is a satellite broadcasting television broadcasting service, right? So where you get the Dialogue TV dish, and it connects to a TV broadcasting service satellite, and it gives you the details, right? As well as I just told you, we have telephone calls. So we have these phones called satellite phones. Have you seen a satellite phone before?
No, sir.
Okay, let me show you a sat phone. See, look at these phones. They're like they're technically huge phones. See, they're huge phones. They have an antenna. Obviously, you need to have a long antenna, as well as these phones are bulky because it doesn't allow, like you can't watch or browse social media using a satellite connection. What you do is you just use it to send a message. So these type of phones, they can allow you to talk or use this phone throughout any location in the world. So that's why usually like campers and people who wants to go hiking and all, they use these type of phones because you don't need any telecommunication signal to use this phone. Okay, that's what is known as a sat phone. So that is for telephone calls, right? And then radio broadcasts. So radio broadcasts means like there are radio channels which will or which broadcast their channel online through satellite communication so that other countries can listen to it and consume their service. So that is also there. And the primary point is government and military. So they both use satellite communication because you might have seen in all these movies and all, right, they say all our satellites are not contactable. Something like that. Like before you attack some place, what they do is they turn off the satellites. So technically once the satellites are turned off, you can't find out whether somebody is going to come after you and attack. So technically almost all the militaries in the world, they use satellite communication because that's how they keep tracking. As well as the next point is location data. So location data is also one of the most important things which satellites provide us, which we use on day-to-day basis as well, because all our phones have a GPS modem which this phone can connect to a GPS satellite. So based on these satellite details, you get the location. Otherwise, literally, if you can't get the location, there is no technical way to navigate, right? Okay, let me ask you a question. When you go back, like long time ago, when we had these wooden boats, do you know how sailors navigated the sea?
Through the compass.
Compass and what? One more thing. Think. Have you watched Peter Pan?
No, sir.
Okay, Peter Pan, the character, this fictional character which comes to Wendy, and they go into a wonderful land where you have the Captain Hook and all the animals. No, okay. So back in the day, I mean a long time ago, sailors used stars, star patterns. So they used to look at the night sky, and they used to mark their patterns. So that's how they technically created the map of the world, and based on that nautical directions, using the compass, they started navigating. Now you don't have to do anything. Now the entire world is mapped, and as long as you have a GPS device, a global positioning device, then you can navigate. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So that's how it works. And these 5 points are really important, because it's going to get into your question paper. So you should highlight this when you're going through it. Okay, so advantages and disadvantages of satellite communication. Okay, so let's start with the advantages. Let's start with the disadvantages. So the disadvantages: satellites must be launched using rockets, and it is expensive, right? Launching a satellite it's massively expensive. It will cost you billions to simply launch a satellite, right? So if you are launching some multiple satellites, you need to make sure that you have a particular way of finding the money back, right? Because it's going to be extremely expensive for somebody to maintain it. At the same time, with multiple satellites orbiting the Earth, the risk of them colliding with each other is also, there is a risk, as well as it can actually create a wreckage that can also hit other satellites. Yeah, this is, just think, if couple of satellites get collided with each other, then that's going to be a problem. Have you watched Wall-E? Wall-E, that small robot who collects trash. Wall-E the cartoon.
I think so.
Okay. Can you remember? Okay, so can you remember the reason why they left Earth in Wall-E? Matagada.
No, sir, I think I watched it maybe when I was like very young.
Yeah, okay. So Wall-E, in Wall-E, you have a point where, so people have evolved in the world, and they trashed the planet. So people started making more and more trash, and there it comes to a position where you can't live in the world. It's all trash. And what they do is they create a list. So humans create a list of a set of robots to clean up the world. So Wall-E is actually a cleaning robot. And it actually shows at a specific scene where Wall-E, Wall-E tries to go out of the Earth, and the Earth is entirely covered with space junk. So all these satellites and whatever the things which was broken and like wreckage is all scattered around the world. Okay, so that's, in a way, that can be a problem at a certain stage. Not at the moment, but Wall-E is actually a futuristic story, you know, so there's a chance. Okay, so these are the disadvantages. Then let's jump to the advantages. So advantages: satellites allow fast communication plus access around the world, so that you don't need any ground-based cables, right? No, so it's entirely wireless, so it allows you to access and send data back and forth easily, so you don't need any cables. Plus they provide the ability to connect to communication networks in any area in the world, including sea or mountains. Wherever you have a clear view to a satellite, you can send the data and get the data back. Okay, so all those, those are the primary um, points behind the communication point. Right? Okay, so give me 1 second. Sorry, yeah. Okay, so some real world advice. So yeah, as you guys know, most of the phones and applications and games we use, they ask to access location information, right? This means they will basically have access to your current location using the satellite coordinates. Okay, so now when you are using the app, you have the option of, sorry, when you are using the app, if you have given the app the permissions to access your location, that will keep on accessing it. Okay, so there is a point behind this, so you just need to be careful, because when you are giving access, you have to be careful. You have to select a specific point where you must specifically say that let the application access your location only when you are using the application. Okay, so that is a specific point, because if you don't put that, then there is a problem, because there is a chance the app can spy on you. So you just need to be careful. So you should not let the application get know your location unless you really know what that application does. Okay, so be careful, just keep that in mind, because there are some different types of applications which will basically track your location behind the scenes without you knowingly. Okay, so then yeah, that's about the real world point, and then we jump into another point called internet bandwidth. Okay, so from your point of view, Sikundi, what do you think? What is internet bandwidth? What do you think? I mean, what do you think as the bandwidth? Just guess. Simply guess what it is. What it is. I know it's a big word, but you know what it is. Even
Most of the parts I don't know, because before in government school, my government school, they didn't teach ICT, that's why.
okay. Nah, Hari, perfectly fine. So just think. Okay, um, when you talk about internet connections, what is the primary point? How do you sell an internet connection? You see this dialogue advertisements, dialogue and Mobitel and SLT advertisements. Right? How do they sell it? මොකක් කියලාද විකුණන්නේ? Have the idea?
By saying this coverage and its speed.
Speed, exactly. It's the speed. So yeah, so that's why I said you already know that. Okay. So the bandwidth is technically how much data it can send from the network to the device. Okay, so that's the term, what is bandwidth. So yes, you can highlight this point. So what is bandwidth? Bandwidth is the term used to describe how much data can be sent from one network device to another in a given amount of time. Okay, so that is the keyword for bandwidth. Okay, so what I can say is the easiest way to understand bandwidth is it's similar to what you can see here. Okay, so the bandwidth is similar to this particular pipe. Okay, so just think, if bandwidth is similar to a pipe, okay, and when the water flows through this pipe, okay, the pressure and the amount of water will be determined based on this particular size, right? So based on the size of the tube, the number of liters or the water amount of water which can be sent through will be determined, right? So if you have a big tube, let's say if you have a tube like this, then that can send a massive lot of water, right? Or if you have a smaller tube, then the amount of water which can be sent through will be less. But let me ask you a question. Let's say if I want to fill a bucket of 20 liters, okay, 20 liters with a small tube and a big tube, right? What would be the fastest?
Big tube.
Big tube will be fastest, right? But both, using both tubes or both, both ways, I am able to fill the bucket, right? Yes, so the only difference is it will take some extra time to fill the full bucket. Similar to that, that is what is bandwidth is. Now here in this case, we do not, let's say, change the bucket size. Now, like, example is now when you apply for a connection, the connection, they won't change the wires, obviously, right? But the thing is, now, let's say if you are upgrading from dialog, as far as I remember, you are using dialog 4G, right? You are using that. Yes. So now, let's say if you upgrade to a fiber optic connection, then what will happen is your connection will get changed, and you will get a fiber connection, fiber wire connected from a fiber access point, like a fiber root point along the road. That's how it's going to get connected. So that means obviously that will give you a light connection similar to fiber, and that would increase the throughput in a massive level, so that you get higher bandwidth. Okay, so now since we've understood the water example, this network performance also changes based on specific locations. Example is, now depending on the location, we share the bandwidth, right? Okay, so example, if I so let's say at your home, let's say you are using the internet connection, as well as, let's say, your brother is using the connection, as well as your mother and father. What happens? Everything slows down, right? So that means this connection is also going to get shared. So that means when multiple people try to access the connection, automatically the speed goes down as well. So depending on so that is where you jump into the bandwidth scenario. So if you need to access, okay, so so let's say if you need to access use multiple devices to access the internet, then obviously you might have to go with a high bandwidth package. Got the point, right? Okay. So let's say if we take this example, you can take the following actions to help improve your internet speed. So obviously, reduce the number of connected devices if possible. And then check the quality of the connection, because this can cause poor performance, including, let's say, using old or damaged cables. And okay, good example, when I just showed you that cable that didn't work properly, then I had to tighten it. I had to tightly push it in, and then only it started to work. So those type of things happens, right? And then at the same time, if it is wireless, then if you stay too far away, then also the connection speed goes down, because you are technically, you're not closer to the router. So that means when when you're far away from the router, automatically the speed goes down. As well as there can be interference also. Nice. Okay. So now, since we got to know the term bandwidth, what do you think latency is then? මොකද හිතන්නේ? What do you think latency is? Okay. So, yeah, let me explain it. So, now bandwidth is the size, no? So, the latency is the number of, or the time, basically, the number of seconds which will take the, let's say, if we take the tube example, which will take one part of water to travel from one location to the other location. Let's say if I have a direct tube connected to your location, and I send a single drop of water through this tube, latency is the time that it's going to take for this single drop of water to travel from my location to your location. Okay, that's the length. So this depends a lot, right? So now when it comes to IT, when it comes to networks, this is similar to the water droplet, but here this is a data packet. Okay, so a data packet is a very small data point, like a small, just think that as an envelope. Okay, so that envelope has a certain amount of data, and I am sending this envelope from my PC to your PC. That's the transferring point. Okay, simple, nothing special, right? I'm just directly taking it from here and send it to you, right? Sending it to you. So how it works is, now this particular latency, so based on this particular data set, the latency means how many seconds which it will take for that packet to receive at your location. So depending on the size and depending on the network connection, this latency can change. Okay, now we have a point. Now let's say if you are watching something on a social network, let's say YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or any place, you might have noticed that when you are scrolling or when you're trying to play, it starts to load. Right? Otherwise, sometimes the videos are what we call them laggy. Right? So some videos starts to lag. The reason is this. So when the data packets are not smoothly flowing in, then you get these type of issues. So this issue, ultimately, this will end up delaying the entire page load, and it will end up giving you a pretty bad, let's say, experience as well, because your data transfer speed and your, sorry, not the transfer speed, your experience is basically damaged. Let's say if while you're watching a YouTube video, if it starts to lag, then it's going to be a problem. Okay, so a good real world example is gaming. So online multiplayer gaming, especially like these high end 3D games, they do require a latency rate of less than 50 milliseconds. Okay, so 50 milliseconds means the delay should not be more than 50 milliseconds. Why? Let's say if we are if we are playing I don't know, something like a first person shooter game, then for me to see somebody and shoot at the enemy, I should be able to do that instantly, right? If there's a delay, then it's going to be a problem. You get, if you get the point. By the way, Siddhamdi, do you play games online?
Yes,
Why? I mean, sorry, what do you play?
like those dressing games.
Dressing games, okay. Is it like a multiplayer game or a single player game?
No, it's like a single player game.
Single player game. Ah, okay, okay, okay. That's right. Okay, so I hope you got the idea about the example, right? Perfect. Okay, so yeah, perfect. Then, yes, we have the exam questions. We can actually, computers. Okay, let me ask you this question. So, this is a typical 4 mark question. So, a multiplayer gaming club is building a gaming room full of computers and game consoles. Okay. Now, they are unsure whether to install a wired or a wireless network. Okay. So, they have asked for your advice, and you have recommended a wired network. Okay. Now, Mavaname, you have recommended a wired network. Now, you have to explain why you made that choice. So, what do you think? Why does a wired network more suitable for a gaming club? Shoot, there is no such thing as a correct answer or a wrong answer. You can tell whatever comes into your mind. Perfectly fine. Na?
As many people are using the same internet connection.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. One point. Um, you missed the, yeah. That's good. That's a point, but not the point. There's another point. Think think about it. What do you think?
Sorry, sir. Could you say the question again?
Yeah. So the question is, we have a gaming center. So it's basically something like a gaming club where you have a lot of PCs and gaming consoles. So according to this, you have suggested that using a wired network is better, and sorry, is the best option, right? So the question is asking why you have said that it's good. Okay, let me ask you a different this question in a different way. So we discussed the advantages and disadvantages of wired and wireless connections, no? So compared to wired and wireless, what is the fastest one? Wired or wireless? Oh.
Wireless.
Wireless? No, not wireless. It's wired. Because wireless has to travel through multiple locations, no? So wired is faster. You just connect the cables together. Okay. Now you understand the question. So since wired is fastest, the fastest method of networking, then that means in this particular case, obviously we need wired, right? Because it's a gaming club, so people will game continuously on those devices, right? So obviously a wired connection must be number one, right? Okay. Then number two is, it says recommend any devices or cables that the gaming club may need. Okay, so devices means we will need to have couple of network devices to connect, right? As well as we need to have the network cables, right? And you can easily remember the cable type, which is known as CAT, CAT, right? You can so you can say you need the network devices, plus you can go for Cat 6. Cat 6 is the standard, no? You can say you can go for Cat 6 cables. Okay, so now be careful. So you guys are, so this, the fun part with Edexcel is that not like the local syllabus. Okay, so in the local syllabus, you have a, they teach you a theory, and then you get a question paper, right? It's just a one-to-one question paper. They exactly check if you know the theory. So technically speaking, in the local syllabus, you can memorize and you can go and write the answers. Right? But when it comes to Edexcel and Cambridge, they focus on a whole different aspect of education. So what they focus on is you learn to provide solutions, real world answers. Okay, so all your questions will be based on this particular structure. So you might get questions based on a case study where they will ask you, so and so has a shop and they do the XYZ things. What type of a network do you suggest? So you need to know the background as well. Now here in this case, when they say gaming, the first thing you should, or yeah, you should have in your mind, or which should pop into your mind was gaming equals speed. So you need high speed network connection or connections to play the games properly, right? So that means that correlate with each other. I hope you got the idea, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So now we have a mock answer. So the mock answer would be a wired network is faster because it is less likely to be affected by interference from other devices and power lines. Okay, so the gaming club will need a router and a switch, which are the network devices, and they should connect all the devices using the Ethernet cables. Okay, so that would be the typical type of a good answer, which will explain what this is. Okay. So we will obviously go through this these questions back again, so that we can we'll do a exam preparation session in the coming days, weeks, so that then we can again we'll touch back to these points. So okay, hope it's good. So yeah, then okay, then we jump into another point, which is which we talk about. So we are still talking about connectivity and the internet, no? So here we jump into another point where we compare web browsers. Okay, so Srikanti, what are the web? How many web browsers you use?
Sorry, sir, there's a signal there. Could you say it again?
Yes, sure, no problem. How many web browsers do you use? Web browsers to browse the internet.
Google Chrome.
Only Chrome, is it?
No, YouTube.
YouTube is a website, no? But you use Google Chrome to browse the website, is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, nice. But have you heard about other web browsers apart from Google Chrome?
Microsoft Edge.
Microsoft Edge. Perfect. Good answer. Perfect. Yes, Microsoft Edge. Anything else? Have you heard about anything else? No problems, no worries. So yes, perfect. Nice answers. Microsoft Edge and Google Chrome. So Google Chrome is the most popular one, as well as now on top of these, we do have if you are using a Mac Apple machine, Apple has a browser known as Safari. Safari. So Safari browser is the Apple native browser, and at the same time we do have a browser known as Brave. Okay, Brave is also a popular browser. So Brave is similar to Google Chrome, but it has some more features. Okay, so if you are actually, so I can actually, so for you all, I can recommend to use something like Brave, because Brave has a security module where it actually does not let other websites to track you. So you know that websites can track you. No? So when you use Google Chrome, there are certain possibilities where a website can actually come after you and get your details. But if you use something like Brave, you won't get that problem. Okay, nice. Okay, then that's about browsers. Let's jump in and see. So what is a web browser? So a web browser is simply a software application designed to display pages written in HTML. Okay, so web browser is a software application designed to display pages written in HTML. HTML is an abbreviation for the word known as, sorry, to what is known as hypertext markup language. Okay, so HTML is type of a code where we use to create web pages, right? So when you want to open a web page, you need the browser. So I'll repeat it again. You create web pages using HTML, and when you want to open a web page, you use a browser. Okay, that's the combination. So now so this is basically following a certain standard of programming systems, which is being followed by um, an organization called W3 Consortium. So it's basically a organization which manages HTML structures. Okay, so because of that reason, there is a certain standard going on. Okay, so the reason for this standard is something like this. Let's say if all of us are making websites, okay, if there were no standard, then we all might try to use whatever the best thing we can do, right? You might use a different code, I might use a different code, another guy might use a different code, and then when it comes to the internet, everybody is using a browser now. So if the browser can't show that code, right? Nobody will be able to see your website. So what happened was, this particular standard organization applied or processed these standards on top of HTML, and that allowed to control the external validations of the system. So nobody can do anything, so go apart from the standards, and all of us will use the same web development system. So there are some browser functions. Tell me, will you, what do you have in a browser? What do you do in a browser? I know, yes, you watch YouTube. Just said that. What else? What can you do? I mean, in Google, so if you take Google Chrome, what are the actions you can do on Chrome? මොනවද Chrome එකේ කරන්න පුළුවන්?
We can search different type of things.
Correct. Yes, you can search for different types of things, and also important, you can navigate. You can navigate between pages. Now, if you take YouTube, on the YouTube homepage, you have the videos listed down, right? So when you click on a video, you navigate to that video. We call it navigation. So you click on a link and you navigate to that link, right? So that is one of the most important activities so that you can navigate within the website. Then what about back? Back also has to be there. So when you go to a page, if you don't like that page, you should be able to go back. So back is a common popular action, right? And then what about bookmarks? Have you bookmarked any pages?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Why do you bookmark? Why do you need it?
So, like, you can look at it when you need it.
Obviously, correct, exactly, 100%. So when you bookmark a domain, that means that domain can be accessed later on, right? As well as that's basically a pin for the that part. But at the same time, you do have few features as well. So the browsers, they will make sure that you can access secure websites which are secured using a certain set of security protocols, such as banking and shopping, as well as it will let you install different types of plugins also, right? So what type of plugins do you have installed any plugins on your browser? Not really.
No, sir.
No, perfect. Okay, no problem. So just when you get a chance, go to, since you are using Google Chrome, search for Google Chrome Store, Store, Google Chrome Store, or search for Google Chrome plugins. You can find a massive lot of plugins which does like fancy stuff. So there's a plugin which I use almost day-to-day basis, where it allows me to pop out a YouTube video. So example is, now when you are in YouTube, let's say you are watching a YouTube video, and if you go to another link or to another tab or to another application, let's say you are studying, you want to take some notes from a website and a YouTube video, you can't do that side by side now. So when you use that pop out plugin, it takes the video and it takes it out, so that you can go to a different tab, still the video will be playing on top of the screen. Okay. So those type of there are some interesting plugins like that. Okay, nice. Okay, so that is why we need the plugins. And then we do have something called IRC services, which is also known as Internet Relay Chat Services. So IRC services are something which you already know, but this is a little bit different with the terminology. But IRC is an online chat system. So back in the day, long time ago, we did not had chat applications like what we have right now, like WhatsApp and so on and so forth. This is like very long time ago, almost more than almost close to 20 years ago. More than 20 years ago, we did not have this type of chat application. So what we used this IRC service, where we had this software as applications known as IRC chat or IRC apps, and we use these applications to chat with people. Okay, and at the same time we have another protocol which is known as FTP, which is an abbreviation for the file transfer protocol. Okay, so this file transfer protocol, there's another thing where it will allow you to upload and download files from a specific internet server. Okay, this is something similar to what you get when you are uploading a video to YouTube, or let's say TikTok or Instagram. So it basically uses an upload system so that you can upload the data directly to the platform. Okay, and it allows you to manage the content. So just remember the points. So FTP, IRC, and the rest of the things are quite straightforward. So the web browser lets you open up the web pages, and it will allow you to play sounds and games and videos on it, as well as remember the most important thing, it allows you to navigate, and the second most important thing is it allows you to go back as well as bookmark pages. Okay, so remember these points. You might get this type of questions in the paper. So then let's jump to the next point. Okay, give me 1 second. Got it. Okay, perfect. Yeah, okay. So then we have one more thing which you can actually compare search engines. So search engines, you guys all know what is a search engine is. A search engine is something which you use to search online, right? So you get the option of searching. So what are the search engines you use and know?
There also we can take Google, right? So Google.
Correct. Google is there. What else?
YouTube.
YouTube has a search, but is YouTube a search engine, like an internet search engine? No, right? No. What else? Have you seen what is being used on Microsoft Edge, the Edge browser?
Yes.
Have you seen the search engine of Microsoft Edge? No. Okay. That is using a search engine known as Bing. B-I-N-G. Bing.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. You might have seen it. So, in the world, primarily we have Google and we have Bing. So, those two are the, let's say, the rivals fighting with each other to have the best search engine. And there are other different search engines as well. There's a lot of search engines like DuckDuckGo and so on and so forth. So, they basically allow you to search. And the thing is, when it comes to the comparing of the search engines, that is where things get a little bit important. Now, you can see when you are comparing a search engine, you just need to find out few points. So, these are the points. So, primarily, the relevance of the information. So, how relevant are the results for your search? Okay, so you just need to make sure that the details that the search engine gives out is relevant. Then the search speed, obviously the speed matters a lot, no? And then some searchers like Google, they give you advanced search features as well, where it will allow you to search for different particular criteria. As well as, what about filtering? Yes, they give you filtering also, like you can filter the search with different options. And advertisements, obviously, right? You can see a lot of advertisements. Now, recently, this YouTube and all, they have increased their advertisements, no? Every now and then when you watch a video, you see number of ads.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but then again, as I have told you guys before as well, Google is an advertisement company, so they earn through advertisements. So obviously, hurry, they have to show you the advertisements. So that's how they generate revenue, right? And then we do have search options. So different type of search options where you can actually search and edit your search history as well. So let me ask you a question, a good question now. You have a Gmail account, right? A Google account?
Yes.
And you have logged in to that Google account in your browser, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So you know that all your search activity is getting saved, right?
Yes.
Yes. So when you go to the Google search history, all your keywords, whatever you have searched so far, is saved. Right? So that's good. That has good and bad both ways, because someone else can see your search history. At the same time, the good thing is Google now knows your search history now. So next time when you search for something, Google can curate a custom search for you. So example is, let's say if you are, so let's say you search for a pink dress at some point, and where you want to wear to a party. So then when you search it for about couple of times, Google get to know, hari, okay, she's looking for a pink dress. Then pink dress. Then it shows you all the advertisements related to a pink dress. Ultimately, you end up buying a pink dress from one of the people who have created an advertisement. Okay, so that's why that's one way they use search history data. Okay. At the same time, you might find security options as well when it comes to searches, where it will let you control your browsing data and other details which will be let's say sent to other websites. So this will actually prevent unwanted access, and at the same time unwanted advertising, because when you do this, it will prevent other people from from you. It will make sure that you won't get unwanted advertisements and messages throughout the system. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So that's how the flow works. Any questions about the search?
No, sir.
Okay, all good, perfect. So then we have the next point called internet filtering. Okay, so this is an important factor and a point where we talk about a specific mechanism of filtering search engine data. Okay, now when you search for something online, the search engine will return as much as data it has in its databases, right? That's how it works. So, but we have a problem, right? Because now, as we know, internet is a place where you have all the content. You can have nasty, bad content, which is only for adults, and you can have bad videos like games and whatnot, even drugs and all these things which you don't need to see. So that is where the filtering part comes in. So now, by default, Google and all the search engines, they make sure that the safe search option is automatically turned on. So now example is, now I guess in your Google account your age must be added correctly. So based on your age, Google will never let you turn off the safe search. So it automatically understands who is using the internet, and it filters everything off. So even if you want to search for something which is inappropriate to your age, Google will block it. Okay. So that's the whole idea behind this filtering. So obviously, schools and organizations, they do have rules which will make sure that within its network, nobody can browse the internet and open those pages, like anything unwanted. As well as parents and guardians, they also get the option to make sure that these points are blocked. As well as internet service provider. So internet service providers, they can actually see what you do, and then they can block from their end as well. So whatever the activity you are performing, they can actually technically block it. As well as governments can also apply their own filters and block things from their countries. Example is China ने the TikTok block करे. TikTok was blocked in China, no?
America, right, sir?
America didn't block it. America wanted to block, but they did not.
Yes.
I think China has blocked it in a specific area or someplace. I'm not sure. But okay, good example. China, TikTok, amatak karungo. Let's take Google. In China, Google is blocked now. It's completely blocked. You can't access Google in China. Yeah, even YouTube, everything is blocked.
Sir, in Korea also like that, right?
I think
Many
so.
things are blocked.
Correct. So that is mainly a point behind the filtering. So you add the content and then it's basically blocking everything out. So there are three types of blocking. So it can basically understand and block illegal or inappropriate websites, and at the same time it can block age restricted content, movies and games which has a specific age. So let's say there are shooting games and fighting games and all this stuff which there will be a certain age restriction, and depending on the user's age you can block it out, as well as content specific to a area or to a topic based on their culture and the geolocation, that also can be blocked. Can you remember when we had these problems in Sri Lanka, these Aragale and all, they blocked Facebook because of Facebook, and almost all the social media was blocked for a couple of days, no?
Yes, sir.
So that is the part of government. So governments do have the option of telling the internet service providers to just pull the plug and block it out. So that's about the internet filtering. Okay, I hope you got the idea and it's clear. So it's quite straightforward. You just need to understand the points, and that would be it. So internet censorship is also something similar. So censorship. So this is what we discussed here was filtering. No? This is filtering. Filtering means not technically completely removing it off the internet, but filtering a certain portion, right? But censorship is something else. Censorship means completely blocking it out. No filter, KB block. So now here censorship, which will basically block websites with illegal or inappropriate content, or blocking news sites that promote certain opinions, prevent users from posting content with specific topics, and also remove access for published contents by particular creators or organizations. So example is even if you take a social network such as TikTok or Instagram or anything like that, they do have censorship rules, right? So depending on if you upload something which goes off or which does not go in par with their community standards, they censor it and they kick you out. So that is also needed, right? Why is it is needed? Mainly, if it is something inappropriate for the age, then yes, that has to be blocked out. As well as now those are social networks, so public networks, people access from all ages, from all countries, so that has to be censored. Plus, let's say if we take a news site, if they publish a false news, then also it's going to be a problem, because that might cause havoc from people who won't understand it correctly. Likewise, it can create unwanted problems. Okay, so the whole idea behind this is to prevent users from doing these type of things.
Sir,
Yes.
one day, like my parents and I were went to a hotel, okay, then
Okay.
I recorded a video and in TikTok, and I thought it went to drafts, but it was sent to everyone. Like within 5 minutes, I was blocked out of TikTok because they said it was under 30.
Okay. Yes, that is also there. Yes. Yeah, you have to be careful. Like when it comes to TikTok, they do have a certain TikTok and Instagram. They do have a certain let's say analyzing mechanism where they can actually predict your age even when you upload a video. They can literally look at your face and there are prediction engines which will predict your age. And if they detect something which is underage or which goes off with their community standards, just like that you're blocked. Be careful. One of my friends got his Instagram profile blocked after posting a picture of his daughter. After posting a picture of his own daughter. See, and then he had to send a couple of messages, contact the help desk, and he took a family picture and then sent it to Instagram. He had to go through a big process to get his account unlocked. But from my perspective, it's good. So nobody can't just post a picture of a kid. Okay.
So like there's like babies also in the TikTok thing, but their videos are restricted, right?
I think it depends on the type of the account, right? Sometimes parents create accounts for their children. Then it won't block out, I think.
Okay.
I think so. I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing. It should be something like that. Okay, perfect. So there are some real world examples. Which is example is WeChat, which is there in China. So since in China everything is blocked, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and everything is limited. China has their own social network which is running on top of WeChat, where you basically have all the complete, like about 90% complete social media, similar to what we
So
have.
basically, when meeting like friends or something, we give a that there's like a QR code and it connects right to
Correct.
each other's.
Yes. Yes. And the fun part is this particular app is technically connected to the government also, as they say. So technically every communication is monitored. So that's typical China. That's how they do it. But the fun part is, I have never been to China by the way, but I had one of my cousins live there for a long time. So what he told me was WeChat application is kind of like a universal app, where when you have that application you can chat, you can socialize, you can pay, you can just pay money through the app as well. Also, like there are multiple different activities which you can just perform just by using the app. So it's good.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So that way, from that we actually comes to an end of this particular unit. Okay, so what I thought was we'll wrap up the class for today, and starting from next week we can jump into unit 4, and we can go into binary because we need to like talk about binary calculations. So now I won't have enough time to finish it off if I start it right now. So best is to start it fresh next week.